let's go to the running back room because we lost big back Alton McCaskey. A lot of people had him as running back one. Some had him, fighting for that position with Dylan Edwards and the guys in the running back room. But he's out of the door. We saw just yesterday or today that Coach Prime has elevated one of his favorites. That's Charlie Offerdahl, who's a walk-on, and he's elevated him to the second string. I kind of broke it down, which I thought from my perspective on my live, which is with Alton leaving, Dylan going to be naturally that one. Savion Wilkerson, who was 3, will naturally be that 2, but he's hurt and not practicing right now. Right. Then you have the freshman Michael Welch, who's really been coming along. He could probably be moved up to that 3, but to show respect to what Charlie's been putting in for the last few seasons and just being that consistent guy and being that model student athlete, just getting praised for having a 4.0. Oh, hey, man, let's elevate Charlie right here. The freshman's still going to be the freshman having to work. If he do his thing, he's going to, of course, get up there. But now you got Charlie reaping some of, the good that he's been putting in by being the number 2 back right now on paper until Coach Prime says something about it. What do you feel about the running back room and Charlie being elevated?
Yeah, well, first off, I know you're a big fan of Alton McCaskill, and I was too. And so I know you and I were both surprised by him leaving. I'm sad to see him go because I felt like he was going to be a really good player. We just talked about it earlier this week, I believe, about what kind of player he could be. And then I thought it was interesting too, real quick, when Coach Prime yesterday said, well, what are we leaving? And that was me that said, well, potential starters. And he said, where? And I said, running back and tight end.
That was you? Oh, no, yeah. That was you, though.
Yeah, that was me that said potential starters. And, and I mentioned tight end and running back, and he kind of was like, nah, I mean, you haven't watched practice. And so clearly if they don't think he's a potential starter, and you look at the post by Alton McCaskill's dad, then, he apparently was not in that position. That it makes sense for him to move on. Alton's a pretty good player, but I guess they don't see him in the future here. So when you look at that, I do like the running back position still with Dylan Edwards, Michael Welch. I like Savion Wilkerson when he's healthy. And Charlie, I've told you before, I don't talk about him too much because he's a walk-on, and I really don't believe that they're going to give a ton of carries to a walk-on unless they have to, even though they like him. But it's hard to put him down, because every time he gets an opportunity, all he does is make plays. And I can't remember if it was last year with Coach Prime, but we used to call him Charlie Often Ball because he would
ball. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, he'd get an opportunity and he just goes and balls, And so him being second team right now is really good for him. I don't know if he'll be that when the season starts because, they're going to add another running back or two. But if nothing else, if you're in that running back room and Charlie, there's a walk on ahead of you, that's got to motivate, Michael Welch or Dylan Edwards. And, and you see Alton McCaskill go, that's got to motivate them as well.
Yeah. Well, I'll push back on 2 things you said, if I can remember all of or 3 things. One of them is saying Charlie, they won't get carries to Charlie being that he's a walk-on. What if that changes before the season and he gets a scholarship based off of what he's been doing? And, would that change your mind then? And then secondly, excuse me, Alton McCaskill came out and basically cut any type of ties or denounced the post that was made by his father saying that he had nothing to do with that personally. Mm-hmm. That was his dad making his own post independent of himself. That post has now been deleted or since been deleted. And Alton basically said, hey, that was him making that post. It does not reflect myself, my character, or my thoughts. So I think we should take that as that. And then thirdly, the running back room. Yes, I think we'll add another guy, and that may change the status of what Charlie is right now, being that second team guy. That may change the status with Ohio State running back coming in to visit and a couple of other guys there that we're kind of, circling around. So we'll see how that plays out. But I like the gesture that Coach Prime is doing and is not giving anything to Charlie, but more or less what Charlie has earned, I think. So good thing to see that.
and those are good points. And I will say, yes, if Charlie earns that scholarship, I think that totally changes my perception of him, because that would mean that they see him as a guy that can contribute, because I don't think they're going to give a scholarship to a guy they don't think can contribute, right? And so I think if he does earn that scholarship, but I also think, I know Charlie a little bit, that scholarship or not, he's going to play the same way. And if he gets the opportunity, I think he can excel, and he can get some yards and some carries. For the CU fans that weren't watching 2 years ago when they were terrible, Charlie got to play a little bit, and he had a couple nice games, and he would have some nice runs out there, even on a terrible team. And so, scholarship or not, if he gets the opportunity, he'll do well with it.